Origin of Kaine. Kaine was the first clone of Spider-Man created by the Jackal. He was suffering from clone degeneration and became an assassin and spent years tormenting his clone brother, Ben Reilly. He has since taken up the mantle his now dead brother as the new Scarlet Spider. The man that would come to be known as Kaine was the clone created by Professor Miles Warren, the Jackal, in his plot for revenge against Peter Parker for his role in the death of Gwen Stacy. Kaine initially appeared to be perfect, but a short while later his body began to break down. No longer a use to Warren, the scientist used him as a test body, in the process augmenting Kaine's already formidable powers, until he was finally discarded. A side effect of the treatment caused Kaine to become mentally unstable. After his first failure, the Jackal created another clone and sent it against Spider-Man, but both were beaten and assumed dead. After the Jackal's defeat at the hands of Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, switched Peter and Ben's files, making it look as if Peter was the clone. Kaine, who broke into the Jackal's lab and looked those files, was led to believe the same thing, and followed Ben Reilly, aka the Scarlet Spider. Believing Ben was the real Peter Parker, he was determined to keep Ben away from New York so that his clone brother could live the life he was denied by the degeneration factor. While tracking Ben Reilly, Kaine fell in love with a Salt Lake City police detective, Louise Kennedy, but Kaine discovered that she was corrupt and had lied to him. This fact, coupled with his genetic deterioration, drove him insane and he killed Louise. Determined to make Reilly suffer, he stalked Ben wherever he went. He then made it appear that the girl Ben loved, Janine Godby, had committed suicide. When Ben returned to New York upon learning of May Parker's illness and took up superheroics, Kaine read about his exploits. He left his mark of Kaine on a mobster, a mark that contained Parker prints, and made his way to New York, determined to keep Reilly from interfering in Peter's life. Upon his own return to New York, Kaine began eliminating many of Peter's rogues gallery. He killed Dr. Octopus and the Grim Hunter in short order. He attempted to kill members of the Sinister Seven but failed due to the intervention of Peter Parker, dressed in Ben's Scarlet Spider costume. This was largely due to the fact Kaine was having precognitive flashes of Mary Jane Parker dying at the hands of some unknown assailant. Peter was eventually imprisoned for Kaine's murders, as they shared the same fingerprints, but Ben took his place. Peter attempted to make Kaine take responsibility for his crimes, which led to a fight. In the end, they both took part in a mock trial, with Spider-Man on trial, Kaine as his defense attorney, Carnage as the prosecutor, several Ravencroft inmates as a jury, and Judas Traveler as the judge. Kaine attempted to fight off all those against Spider-Man, and Judas returned them to their previous battle. Kaine fought with Stunner, who was avenging Dr. Octopus' death, and after being severely weakened, he was knocked out by Spider-Man, who tied him up and brought him to the courthouse. Kaine woke before they arrived, and unveiled who he was and that he had done all this for Peter's sake. Peter threatened to reveal himself as Spider-Man to the courtroom and end everything unless Kaine confessed. Kaine gave in and told everything, including the mark of Kaine. Peter, after learning that he was, supposedly, the clone, went to join the Jackal. Kaine refused to let Peter throw his life away and confronted the Jackal, prepared to kill him. The Jackal tricked Kaine into believing that he would be cured of his degeneration, and upon learning the truth, Kaine left, feeling dejected. He went to Mary Jane for answers, and after she taught him about responsibility, he left to help Ben as he fought many spider clones. In the ensuing battle, Spider-Side impaled Kaine, killing him. Strangely, the Jackal put Kaine into a regeneration pod, and it was later found empty. When many of the strongest fighters were pitted against each other in the Great Games, a man named James Johns Meyer found Kaine's pod and decided to enter him in the games. Kaine refused, and with the help of a temporary partner, Shannon, he escaped. Johns Meyer sent Rhino, Joystick, and Polestar to force Kaine into the games. Ben Reilly in his stint as Spider-Man intervened, and began fighting Polestar and Joystick as Kaine nearly killed the Rhino. Ben stopped him, and Kaine escaped with Shannon. Ben got a tracer on Shannon before they escaped. He found the two just before the police, and Kaine was escaped by threatening one of the officers. This time, Kaine and Shannon went to John's Meyer headquarters. Ben found them again, and Kaine destroyed all of John's Meyer's security equipment. John's Meyer revealed that Shannon had been working for him all along and had manipulated Kaine the entire time. Kaine attempted to kill Shannon, but Ben convinced him to spare Shannon. Kaine left, vowing that he would take down everyone who supported the games. Later, Kaine encountered Ben and Janine Godby, who had recently returned to Ben. Kaine saved Ben after initially leaving him to die in a burning restaurant. Kaine finally acknowledging Ben as a brother, instead of an enemy. Kaine turned himself into the police, and Janine, who was wanted for the murder of her abusive father, followed suit. Powers and abilities. After being cured of his tarantula form, his powers changed and now resemble Spider-Man's power set after the events of the other, but before Brand New Day. Superhuman strength. Thanks to the other, Kaine is physically stronger than Spider-Man and is able to lift 20 tons without exertion. He has been able to break chains that were designed to be completely unbreakable by someone Spider-Man's level. Superhuman speed. Thanks to the other, Kaine is physically faster than Spider-Man, to what degree has yet to be ascertained, but he was able to react to 3 bullets within only a few meters of himself. Stingers. Kaine has a pair of retractable stingers that come from his wrists. These can be used to impale. Spider communication. Kaine can mentally communicate with spiders, and have some degree of controlling them. He was able to search an entire city for a nuclear bomb with this ability. Mark of Kaine. He still possesses his corrosive brand mark. Biological webbing. He develops the ability to shoot organic webbing from his wrists. Night vision. He can see in the dark to a limited degree. Healing factor. Kaine has some degree of healing factor. The other possession. The other has shown to be able to aid and even slip into control from time to time, heightening his already formidable physicals and preventing him being attacked mentally. Equipment. Stealth suit. Kaine has the stealth suit designed by Peter Parker during the Big Time arc. This suit can render him invisible, immune to sonic attacks, and cancels out any noise he makes when moving. Even an Assassin's Guild member with a special visor could not see Kaine when he was invisible. This suit is made of some kind of unstable particles that has the ability to auto-fix itself, is non-combustible, and can change it from Scarlet Spider style to Big Time's Tron style. When Kaine fought Carlos and Esmeralda Lobo, he was overpowered and killed. After his death, he was confronted by the other, who gave him enhanced powers. He returned as a feral human spider hybrid, barely able to tell friend from foe. Kaine later used the ascended spider form to fight and beat Shantra. He has the following powers, in addition to the ones he had previously. Further enhanced strength and durability. Kaine in this form was able to easily overpower both Carlos and Esmeralda, while previously he was overpowered by the two. He even ripped off the arm of Carlos without issue, despite the latter having high levels of superhuman durability. In his fight with Shantra, his ascended form easily beat her, despite being overpowered by her in his normal form. Organic webbing. Like his regular form, ascended Kaine had the ability to produce organic webbing, but he seemed able to produce as much larger volumes, and quickly incapacitated Esmeralda Lobo with it. Claws. As well as his stingers, ascended Kaine has sharp claws on each finger, which he used to rip out one of Carlos' eyes. Fangs. Ascended Kaine has sharp fangs, which were easily able to penetrate Carlos' flesh. Spider limbs. Along with his usual limbs, ascended Kaine has 4 spider-like limbs sprouting from his back. Similar to Iron Spider's limbs, these retractable appendages were strong enough to impale the werewolves without much issue. Shapeshifting. Kaine was first able to transform back into his original form, after help from Araceli. He later shapeshifted back to his normal form by himself after beating Shantra. Healing. When Kaine was transformed out of his feral form, all his injuries sustained by the werewolves were gone, as well as his tattoo. This form of extensive healing is beyond Kaine's normal limits and probably likely to be a one-time thing, similar to Spider-Man undergoing extensive healing after reverting to a human spider hybrid form to kill Moylan. In that case, Peter not only healed a missing eye, but the tonsils he had removed when he was a child.